To be completely honest, I wasn't really expecting 21 Savage to drop this soon after American Dream, because you have to remember, in between I Am Greater Than I Was and American Dream, there was a 5-year gap. So to get another 21 Savage album 1 year, well, almost 2 years after American Dream, felt pretty exciting. The problem is that we are still on 2025, the year where basically every mainstream rapper is just making their weakest projects, even rappers that are supposed to be good, like Travis Scott or let's say Metro Boomin, even though he's not a rapper, but you get the point. But you know, I really had high expectations for this project because 21 Savage has had a pretty good feature run this year. I mean, you look at his features on songs by Central C, Baby Drill, Lil Baby, and even Nardo Wick. All of those features were pretty great, and when you compare it to, for example, Travis Scott, who had some weaker features this year, which may explain the quality of his latest project, then I just thought that 21 Savage could be one of the few good trap artists that delivered a project this year. But sadly, I don't think he totally delivered. It's not on the same level of like the Lil Wayne or like the Metro album, but it's still pretty disappointing to me, and it means that the only trap albums that have been good this year are the ones from like Offset, Key Glock, and Ty Dolla $ign, I guess. But yeah, let's analyze it a little bit more to answer the question, was What Happened to the Streets by 21 Savage good? Well, the first issue that I had with this album was when the feature list was announced. 21 Savage is always known for having really stacked feature list. I mean, you look, I Am Greater Than I Was had Schoolboy Q, Childish Gambino, J. Cole. American Dream had Travis Scott, Brent Faiyaz, Doja Cat. And in here, I mean, yeah, you have a Drake, but then you have like Glorilla, G Herbo, and Latto, which is like the most basic feature list for a mainstream trap album that you can have. But anyways, let's talk about the music itself. So my main problem with this album is that there are not a lot of songs that are like memorable. If you look at, for example, an American Dream, there is nothing very similar to, like, say, a Nina or a Dangerous or a Red Sky. But in here, you can't really tell a lot of these songs apart from each other. Like, let's look at some songs like Big Stepper, Jump Out, Pop It. All of these songs sound very similar, and that is a very big issue. It just doesn't have a unique, distinct sound. Then there's also a problem that this album, for some reason, has this tendency of reusing beats from other rappers. For example, there was a song announced that was produced by Metro Boomin, which is pretty exciting, you know, 21 Savage and Metro are a really good duo. The problem is that this wasn't an original beat. It was a beat that was reused from a Lil Durk song that came out earlier this year. And like, don't get me wrong, it's not a bad beat, and I think that 21 Savage did a much better job than Lil Durk on it. But it is a bit disappointing, you know? And then you had the song How, which reuses an old Gucci Mane beat, and it just does not feel like a 21 Savage song. To me, it just kind of feels like an extended feature from him. And don't even get me started on that terrible hook. And yeah, that's another problem. Some of the hooks in here are really bad. I don't know what that's like a trend this year of a lot of rappers doing like really terrible hooks, but yeah, 21 Savage does not escape from that in here. Like, you have Aha, Dog Shit, Code of Honor, all pretty weak hooks in my opinion. Then you have the big one, Mr. Recoup with Drake. I still remember when this album first came out, and on the Genius page it says that this song was produced by 21 Savage. It has been changed, but it's just so funny because it just shows how weak this beat was, that they just thought that 21 Savage was making his first beat. But yeah, to me the problem, like, I think that the synths are pretty cool, I don't mind them, but the section that is just the piano, it feels so empty and so goofy. And to that you add Drake's weird flow that he's doing. It's just such a disappointing collab, to be honest. I mean, you had a whole collab album full of bangers between these two, and then their next collabs are Calling For You, which I already talked about in a video, and then you have this one, which is just, I don't know, man. Also, little pause here. If you are liking the video so far and you like rap content, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. That would really help me out. And yeah, back to the video. But To talk about some positives, there are some pretty solid songs on here. The intro was a pretty hyped one. I mean, it wasn't like amazing, but it did get you excited for what was about to come next on the album. Atlanta Tears also has a very unique beat compared to the rest on this album. It's not a generic trap beat, so I appreciate that. Step Brothers is also like a banger. Young Nudy and 21 Savage have barely missed, and different to Drake, 21 Savage can still make really good songs with Young Nudy, and this one shows it. This one is by far the best song on this album. But yeah, for the rest of the features, I mean, Lil Baby did a pretty solid verse on Atlanta Tears. Latto, I didn't mind her, it wasn't like amazing, but it was fine. Jawan Harris did a really solid hook. Glorilla, man, you already know how I feel about Glorilla. She can make a good feature, but this one is just not it, especially with that terrible hook that she does. And then there's G Herbo. I heard a lot of people praising this G Herbo feature, and I think that the thing with G Herbo is that the more G Herbo features you listen to, the least you like the ones that you listen to, because he just makes every feature sound the exact same. But like, if you hear a feature from him for the first time, it is like pretty cool, you know, he has a good flow, it's nice. But if you've heard the same verse for like the 10th time this year, then it just gets super stale, and that's exactly what happened to me with this song. I just don't get anything out of this feature. I already talked about this on the video I did about Lil Baby's newest project, but I'm just so tired of G Herbo featuring on everything and him sounding the exact same on every song that he's on. And this is also a problem with his own music, like his albums are super stale, but that's something I will talk about in another video. Talking about the production list, some of these are really disappointing. The main one for me is DA Got That Dope producing Big Stepper. I mean, if you know DA Got That Dope, then you probably know him for doing some really fun bangers like Say Say, Taste, even Godzilla. I mean, it's not like a super fun beat, but you know, it has a bounce to it. But then you have this song, Big Stepper, and it's just the most boring and stale beat that there ever is. This song overall is just super boring. I did like the beat that we got from Weezy and Southside on the intro. That was a pretty solid beat, so I'm glad with that. But yeah, 21 Savage himself just doesn't really deliver some memorable verses on here. Like I said before, a lot of these just feel like extended features, which is just not really exciting. And why I say extended features is again because the production is just so basic throughout this whole project. Again, let's compare it to American Dream. All of the beats on that album are distinct. Like you hear Red Rum, you know that is Red Rum. You hear Dangerous, you know that is Dangerous. You hear Sneaky, you know that's Sneaky. But in here they just all mesh together. They're all your basic trap beats with the same drum pattern each and every single time. Aside from like 3 songs that have like distinct production, the rest just blend in, and it's just, I don't know, it's a bit of an stale listen, and probably the first 21 Savage project in a while that I will never be coming back to listen to it fully, because I have quite a few of skips in here, and some songs that I might not skip that are still not all that great. Still, I guess I'm getting a good Young Nudy collab out of this, so yeah, I guess that's a positive, but I don't really know. Again, I think this project is still better than, let's say, an Uiscudi or a More Chaos or some Sexy Songs for You, but I was really expecting a lot more from 21 Savage, and this was pretty disappointing. So, to answer the question, was What Happened to the Streets by 21 Savage good? I guess it was decent, but I wouldn't call it like good exactly. But anyways, I guess that's everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know what you thought about this project. I know a lot of people are like saying it was pretty bad. I don't think it is as terrible as some people make it seem. I just found it to be very disappointing and pretty mid, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully 2026 has some better projects than these ones. A$AP Rocky announced that his project is coming like in the 16th of January, which I don't believe that shit, but you know, hopefully when that comes out, if it does come out, it is better than what we are having from mainstream rappers this year, because it has been really tough. But yeah, now I'm going to go to work into the end of the year lists, best worst songs, best worst albums, and all of that. I know last year I only made one of those videos, but this year I'm gonna try to make all of them. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you like this, and like the video, and yeah, see you soon. Goodbye.